It began with a whistle, a penalty, and a team walking off a pitch. It continued with a player covering his mouth with his shirt and an accusation of racism that stopped a Champions League match for 10 minutes. And now, at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, both of those moments, both of those eruptions from earlier this year, have been written directly into the laws of the game, changed, codified, and forced with consequences that could alter the result of a World Cup match in an instant. England's manager has formally challenged one of them. Coaches across the tournament are alarmed by another. Players who have been following the same unwritten customs of football for their entire careers are now being told those customs could get them sent off. And the football world is asking a question that has no clean answer. Did FIFA just change football to solve two specific problems and create a dozen new ones at the biggest tournament on Earth? Stay with us, because the story of what FIFA has just done to the laws of the game is one of the most consequential and most controversial decisions this World Cup has ever seen. To understand what has changed, you have to go back to February of this year. Real Madrid were playing Benfica in the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. Brazil's Vinicius Jr., one of the most exciting footballers on the planet, and a man who has spoken repeatedly and courageously about the racism he has experienced throughout his career, was confronted by Benfica's young Argentinian winger, Gianluca Prestiani. Prestiani approached him and covered his mouth with his shirt while he spoke. Nobody could read his lips. Nobody could verify what was said. Vinicius accused him of directing a racial slur at him. Prestiani denied it. The match was halted for 10 minutes. The football world erupted. FIFA President Gianni Infantino had seen enough. He spoke publicly in language that left no room for interpretation. If a player covers his mouth and says something, and this has a racist consequence, then he has to be sent off, obviously, he told Sky News. There must be a presumption that he has said something he shouldn't have said, otherwise he wouldn't have had to cover his mouth. I simply do not understand. If you don't have something to hide, you don't hide your mouth when you say something. Presumption of guilt for covering your mouth. That principle is now a law of the game at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Any player who deliberately covers his mouth with a hand, a shirt, or a shoulder during a confrontation with an opponent may be shown a straight red card, dismissed, removed from a World Cup match, gone, on the referee's interpretation of whether the conversation was confrontational. The nuance in the law is this: if the mouth covering happens during a friendly exchange, it is permitted. Only during a confrontation does it become a red card offense. But the line between a friendly exchange and a confrontation on a World Cup pitch, when the stakes are the highest in football, when every referee decision is scrutinized by millions, when emotions run at their peak, that line is not always clear, and now it falls to a single referee in real time to make the call. If you're watching this and you want to follow every development of this World Cup, subscribe now and hit the bell, because the rules governing this tournament are unlike anything that has come before. The second explosive new law was triggered by an event in January, the Africa Cup of Nations final. Morocco against Senegal, played in Morocco before a passionate home crowd. Late in the match, a penalty was awarded against Senegal. Senegal coach Pape Thiaw and several of his players did not accept the decision. They walked off the pitch. For nearly 15 minutes, one of African football's greatest occasions stood still, an international final halted by a team that refused to continue. The match eventually resumed. Senegal returned. Morocco won. But FIFA had witnessed something it never wanted to see again, a team holding a tournament hostage through collective protest. The response was swift and severe. Any player who deliberately leaves the field of play to protest a referee's decision will now receive a red card. The same applies to any team official who incites players to do so. And the most extreme sanction in the history of football's disciplinary code has been formally written into the regulations. If a team causes a match to be abandoned, they automatically forfeit it. A World Cup match could now be awarded as a 3-0 defeat to a team before the final whistle is ever blown. FIFA's head of refereeing, the former Italian referee Pierluigi Collina, said the goal of all the new rules is to keep games moving and reduce unnecessary delays. He said they were landmark changes that would improve both the player and fan experience. England's manager Thomas Tuchel said he was not happy. Tuchel, one of the most meticulous and detail-focused coaches in world football, has formally challenged FIFA over one of the other new regulations, a change that may seem less dramatic than red cards for mouth coverings, but which has provoked fury among the teams it affects most directly. For decades, when a World Cup team qualified from the group stage into the knockout rounds, they had one simple logistical right. They could choose a base camp, a single location in the host country, and remain there for the entire tournament. It was their home, their training ground. Their players' families could be housed nearby. Their routines and rhythms could be established and maintained across weeks of competition. FIFA has abolished that right for the 2026 World Cup. Every team that advances from the group stage must now move their base camp to the city where they will play their next knockout match, city by city, round by round, packing up, relocating, settling into a new environment, establishing new training facilities every time they win. For a team hoping to reach the final, that could mean 4 or 5 disruptive moves across 6 weeks of tournament football. England and Tuchel are, according to multiple reports, deeply unhappy with this decision. The Football Association has been in formal dialogue with FIFA about it. The German manager and his staff have been exploring whether establishing a central base in Kansas, which sits geographically at the heart of the United States and connects to all match venues in under 4 hours by air, could provide a workable compromise. But FIFA's rule stands. Once the knockouts begin, the base camp moves. The practical consequences are significant. Preparation time lost to travel, unfamiliar training pitches, disrupted sleep schedules, recovery protocols designed around stable facilities thrown into disorder. For players at the peak of their physical demands, playing knockout football at a World Cup under North American summer heat, these are not minor inconveniences. They are performance factors. But those are not the only new rules causing alarm. There are 2 more that have fundamentally altered how this tournament will be managed on the pitch, and their combined effect is an environment that even experienced players and coaches are still adjusting to. The first is the 10-second substitution rule. Once the substitution board is displayed, the departing player has 10 seconds to reach the nearest exit point on the touchline and leave the field, not walk to the center circle to receive applause, not stop to embrace teammates, not make his way slowly toward the tunnel while the home crowd acknowledges his contribution. 10 seconds, nearest exit, or the referee intervenes.
On the surface, this is a simple time-wasting measure. In practice, it removes one of football's most human moments, the substituted player's walk of honor or walk of shame across the pitch. Players who have given everything they have for their country, who may be leaving the field for the last time at a World Cup, will now be redirected to the nearest sideline like passengers on a boarding announcement. It is efficient, and it is distinctly soulless. The second on-field change is more technically complex, but potentially more consequential. VAR powers have been significantly expanded for this tournament. Crucially, VAR will now be able to review potential fouls committed by attacking players in the build-up to corners. Under the previous system, once a team had won a corner, the play that preceded it was no longer reviewable. Now, if VAR identifies a foul in the passage that led to the corner, a handball, a push, an infringement, the corner can be canceled, the appropriate disciplinary action taken, and a free kick awarded to the defending team instead. England's Guardian newspaper identified a potential missed foul in a recent friendly between England and Uruguay as an example of exactly the type of incident the new rule was designed to catch. Under the old system, it would have been let go. Under the new system at this World Cup, it could change the entire course of a match. FIFPro, the International Players Union, responded to the full package of rule changes with characteristic directness. The Players' Organization has been one of the most vocal critics of FIFA's broader tournament decisions, from the expanded schedule to the heat concerns to the calendar congestion, and the new laws have done nothing to ease that tension. Representatives from FIFPro made clear that some of these changes were introduced without adequate consultation with those who play the game. La Liga, Spain's top professional division, had already criticized FIFA's broader direction of travel in terms the governing body did not enjoy. FIFA is showing complete disregard for the importance of national championships and the football community in general, the league's statement read. That was a response to the Club World Cup expansion. The new rules have added another layer to a friction that has been building between football's governing body and the clubs and leagues that operate the game day to day. What emerges from all of this, the mouth-covering law born from Vinicius, the walk-off law born from the AFCON final, the base camp change, the 10-second substitutions, and the expanded VAR, is a picture of a governing body that has reacted to specific incidents by rewriting the laws for everyone, and has done so at the biggest tournament on earth with the least possible time for players, coaches, and officials to fully absorb what the changes mean. Football has always evolved. The offside rule has been refined. The back pass was banned. VAR itself was revolutionary and deeply contested when it arrived. Change is not inherently wrong. Some of these changes, particularly the anti-racism measures targeting mouth covering, carry a genuine moral purpose that deserves to be acknowledged. But the scale of what has changed and the speed with which it has been imposed on a tournament of 104 matches across 6 weeks has created a level of uncertainty that no previous World Cup has had to carry into its opening days. A referee in the 38th minute of a quarterfinal will have to decide in real time whether a player covering his mouth during what may or may not be a confrontation deserves a red card. A team official who raises his voice too passionately in protest at a refereeing decision will have to wonder if he has crossed the line into inciting a walk-off. A substituted player who spent 22 years dreaming of playing at a World Cup will have 10 seconds to find the exit. These are the laws of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, approved at a special IFAB meeting in Vancouver, overseen by Pierluigi Collina, championed by Gianni Infantino, applied from the 11th of June onward across every pitch, in every city, in all 3 host nations. Thomas Tuchel is not happy. FIFPro is not satisfied. La Liga has said its piece. The players in the dressing rooms are learning new rules on the job. And the 2026 World Cup is only just beginning.